to another episode of By the Way. I am your host, Sydney Reichert, and I am so pumped today because we've got a returning guest. Oh. I think you're actually our first returning guest. Yes. Yes. I have with me my beautiful, talented, amazing, fresh hippity happening sister.
What was that last one?
Fresh hippity happening.
What does that even mean?
I don't even know. Miss, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey guys, thanks for having me
That
back.
wasn't an introduction. What's your name?
Oh, my name's Sydney.
I didn't say that. That's why I said I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
My name's Sydney, and
we're here and we're back and it's happening. This is so exciting. I'm so excited. It's almost actually been
exactly a year or over. I think it's been over
it's been a little bit over, but I think you were on in January last year.
Yeah.
Talking about New
Year's
goals.
I hope y'all completed all those. Ask your accountability partner. Ooh,
that was one of them. That was one of the rules. That was one of the rules. Get the accountability partner. But I'm so excited that you're here back today. Something that Sydney is like very super knowledgeable and she's very talented in is like health and wellness. And so I brought her on today because we're going to kind of talk about what the correlation between physical, mental, emotional health has with like spiritual health in your walk with God. Because I think they correlate a lot more than what we would expect. And so Sydney here is going to bring all her knowledge, her wealth of knowledge to the table today. So
actually, let me just start off by saying, this
woman of winning words now.
No, no, I was just gonna say, let me just start off by saying, everything I'm about to say just comes from a place of, I am very intrigued by this topic and passionate about this topic. And so this has just come from, I just like researching stuff in my free time. So I am not accredited whatsoever to be giving any sort of like advice to be taken.
You can give advice.
I can give advice, but just like take what I say with a grain of salt and research everything on your own as well. I guess that's what I'm gonna say.
Yes. But she is very knowledgeable, and I wouldn't bring her on here if I didn't trust her to actually give you truth. So first off, can you explain like what the correlation between your physical health and spiritual health is? If there is any correlation, what does that look like?
Well, I know that us as beings.
You do believe.
I do believe, but I also know.
Well, I know you just said I don't believe.
Well, okay. Rewind. I know that God created us as holistic beings, meaning that we are beings with mind, body, and spirit. And we have to first realize that all of those things are connected. You cannot work on one area of your life without it affecting all of the other areas. Mm-hmm. So say, just like an easy example, you don't, from a physical standpoint, you get 4 hours of sleep last night, okay? How is that going to affect your mental well-being the next day? You're going to have brain fog. You're going to be very exhausted. You're going to have very low energy. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to think straight, all of these things. With that, how is that affecting your spiritual health? Well, you're probably going to be too tired to have quiet time. You're probably going to be too tired to want to pray. You know, all of these things. It's a snowballing effect. And so we have to realize that you can't compartmentalize one part of your being without it affecting all other parts. So, and from I wrote down a few notes, but from a mental / emotional standpoint, being physically fit boosts energy and productivity, reducing risk of chronic diseases and chronic stress. Whereas on the inverse of that, chronic pain or illness can lead to depression, anxiety, anger, fatigue. So all of these physicality things can lead to tons of mental disorders, mental diseases, whatever you may call it. And also being chronically stressed, so being mentally fatigued all the time, mentally drained and mentally worn out, can lead to heart issues, blood pressure issues, all of these things that manifest themselves in physical ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to look at it from a 30,000 feet viewpoint of how is one thing I'm doing affecting the rest of my being, rather than being like, I want to exercise more, or I want to journal more, whatever it may be, and then expect that to only affect one part of your being. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like one thing in one area of your life affects pretty much all the other areas of your life. Yes. Okay, I agree. Now, can you talk about that same thing, but with more from like a food standpoint, like nourishing your body? Like, what does that look like in terms of how that affects your physical, emotional, spiritual side of that?
Yeah. Well, if on a basic level, if you're not getting proper nutrition, your body is not going to function the way that it was created to function. And so, and that could lead to a multitude of different issues. I mean, just look at the state of America now. Obesity is at an all-time high, and that is causing so many other issues, such as heart issues or blood pressure issues, or just like a ton of different things. And so if we're not nourishing our body the way that it was intended to be nourished, and on a whole nother thing, like, people find that to be very hard. And I think it's because we live in such a wishy-washy diet culture where people promise results from this one diet. But if you're looking, you cannot live on a diet for the entirety of your life. That is not how we were made to function. And I understand certain people have health issues and restrictions to where they have no choice. But if you think you can live on a keto diet for 3 months and lose all of that weight, and then you go straight back into eating the way you were eating before, what do you think is going to happen? You know, it's not a one size fits all thing. It's not, it's more of a band-aid than it is a solution to the underlying issue. And so back to what I was saying, it's very simplistic. You look at what is growing in the season that you're living in. So I think seasonal eating is what I believe to be how God intended us to eat, because why would those certain produce and food and whatever be growing in that season? It's because when you eat produce that is growing within the season, you are getting the most nutrients out of that food that you could possibly get, because it's ripe. And so say autumn, that's why people are eating pumpkin and squash and all of these different things, kale, stuff like that, because it has the most nutrients in that time of the season. And so when you're eating those foods in the right time, you are nourishing your body the best possible way. And also, another thing is to just eat a diverse diet. Eat it as diverse of a diet as you can. So say for you can tolerate gluten, whereas I can't. So eat nutritional carbs like sourdough and rice and all of these different things, while also eating meats and vegetables and fruits and all of these different things, because each fruit, each meat has different nutritional values for you. And me, what that looks like for me is just eating as many different fruits and vegetables and grains that I can eat, and all of these different things to nourish my body in the way that it needs to be. And that also looks different for men and for women, and that's where research comes in for that, because as women, we have different nutritional needs than men do at different times of the month and in different times of our cycle. And it's just so cool whenever you do start researching that, how our bodies were made, and how certain foods and homeopathic remedies help us during different times of our cycle. And so, yeah, you can go on a whole rabbit hole about that and into specifics, but it's a lot, and it's a lot to cover, and that's years and years of research that I've done to personally like help myself. But yeah, I just encourage everyone, if you have a specific question about something, just to research it, find credited studies. But my answer to that would be, start simple. Eat as diversified of a whole foods diet as you can and see how you feel after 30 days. Once those 30 days are over, start incorporating things you used to eat and see how it makes you feel. I promise you will feel terrible and you will not want to eat those things anymore. You will not crave those things anymore. Once you start adding real food into your diet, and that's what 80% of your diet consists of, you will start craving those foods more. And it's because that's what our bodies were made to digest, is those real foods. So, yeah, I guess that would be my answer.
That's good. And something like specifically for women, kind of like what she was talking about that I've been doing recently, is called like cycle syncing. So basically just like syncing up whatever foods, syncing up like eating whatever foods you need for that part of your cycle, whatever you're on during the month, because at different times in the month your body needs different nutrients, and so eating according to that actually helps your body to function the way it's supposed to function when you're actually fueling it in the way that you're supposed to, if that makes sense. So that's something that's been like really, really helping me, when in terms of like eating a healthy diet, but also like it shows you how much food can like heal your body, and it shows you how God intended for us to use foods and natural remedies to heal our body,
So good.
So I think a lot of people find nutrition and exercise overwhelming because they just don't know like where to start, which I know you kind of just touched on a little bit about where to start, as far as like nutrition and stuff. But like, what are some practical ways that people can start implementing healthy foods or exercise into their lifestyle without feeling like they've got to now all of a sudden cut out every single thing that they've ever eaten and then start over with a whole new palate and then go to the gym 6 times a week in order to like see results or to feel better?
I would say it is very, very hard to go cold turkey on anything.
Yeah.
And that's why I do not recommend that process, I guess. Especially with food and exercise, because you will quickly grow to hate what you're doing. You will quickly grow to hate every single meal that you're making. You will quickly grow to hate exercising because you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't enjoy. And now that's not to say that we should not have discipline, and because that's a whole nother thing, but I'll start with exercising. If you are someone that does not exercise and you think that 1 week you're going to start exercising 5 days a week and keep that habit for the next year,
it's not gonna happen.
go you. I'm glad we're dreaming. I'm glad we
have goals.
Yes, but let's just make them realistic. And so, sticking with the scenario that you're someone who doesn't work out 2 days a week, pick something that you would enjoy doing. Baby steps is the key to creating a habit with anything. Go, say one day you go on a 45-minute walk, and then the second day, later on in the week, you do Pilates. I don't know, whatever it may be. But starting with that, and then over time, implementing more days or different diverse
styles,
workouts. I mean, and also working out does not have to look like going to the gym and lifting weights for 3 hours whenever you're trying to work out. That can look like going on long walks, Pilates. It could look like weightlifting. It could look like kickboxing, rock climbing. There are so many ways to move your body and to be active. And I think, especially with social media, we have been trained to think it's supposed to look like one specific thing, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is going to enjoy doing that. And so, I think with working out, fitness, whatever it may be, is to choose ways to move your body that you genuinely enjoy and you look forward to, and just start doing them. And start adding more time doing it. And yeah, I just think it's fun. Like this past year, I ran a half marathon. I am not a runner and I will never do it again. Okay? But it was fun because what training looked like for me up until that point was going to the gym 4 or 5 days a week and doing the same thing. And I got so burnt out with that. And so I knew a bunch of people that were running this half marathon. And so I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to sign up for it and I'm going to start training for it. And my training routine completely shifted. It was now I was running 3 or 4 times a week and maybe doing Pilates or lifting once a week, you know? And it was just so much fun because I finally, for the first time in years, was enjoying working out. Whereas before, it was just something I was doing because I knew I needed to do it, you know? And I wasn't enjoying it, whatever. So it's just like finding things that you enjoy doing, and then later on you can set goals if you want to run a half marathon. See, like if I were to do that now, it would be purely for the fact that I want to say that I could I could do something, but I wouldn't enjoy the process of getting there. But anyways, and then with food, I would recommend the same thing, is to one, try to eat as little processed foods as possible and try to start incorporating a whole foods diet into your diet. And I would recommend getting to the point where your entire diet is a whole foods diet, at least 80% of the time. You know,
We're going to get ice cream
we're
tonight.
going to get ice
so
cream
like
tonight. And that's the thing.
80-20.
That's the thing, is that you still want to be able to live life. You still want to be able, food shouldn't just be a discipline, and it shouldn't just be a punishment. To me personally, I'm such a believer in that so much life happens around a table, and food is a way to bring people together. And if there's a piece of pie on that table, I will be eating it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I was actually not listening, but I was reading. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this just goes with it. I was reading in Ecclesiastes today, Ecclesiastes 2, and in one of the verses, it was talking about. I'm not gonna say this exactly right. Actually, I have my Bible right here. Hold on, because I don't want to butcher it. But it was such a good verse. It literally says, "There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This I saw is from the hand of God." And so it was just like talking about how like those small small things like eating and drinking are also gifts from God, you know? And so it's like, and you see all throughout the Bible stories of where people are sitting around a table and feasting. Like even in the Old Testament, God commands feasts, you know? And then in the New Testament, when Jesus is here on earth, he sits around the table and feasts with people. And so it's so important. We see it as like, oh, it's just food, but like truly, like you said, so much life happens around the table. So much community is built around the table, and food was meant to be enjoyed, not to be something that we despise.
Because it's a gift. It is a way for us to enjoy the gifts of the Lord, just like anything else. Just like going to the sunset, going to the beach and watching sunset. Yeah. It's so easy to look at that and be like, wow, our Creator did this, and it is a gift to be able to experience this. It is the same with food, and we should. So much life is done around a table, and so many experiences come from food, and we are supposed to enjoy it. But at the same time, we have to practice self-control. Yeah. It's, especially with our bodies, we have to practice self-control. And so it's a fine line, and I can say this from experience because I did struggle years ago with idolizing food, and every single meal I ate just being like, oh, darn, I shouldn't have eaten that. And I was thinking about it for the rest of the day, just being like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel like crap, like I should have done this, I'm gonna exercise for 5 hours tomorrow, I'm gonna make that my full-time job, like all of this stuff. And it should not get to that point, and it is very easy to view food in that sense. I mean, why are eating disorders such a big thing? Because we have a problem with that. It's very hard to creep up on the line of viewing food as a bad thing or just like being overly cautious with it. And I'm not saying that, but I am saying when you start eating the way that God intended you to, you start to feel, your entire being just starts to feel better, and you start to crave that, and you find enjoyment in that. 1 Corinthians 10:31 is the verse that says, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. And so we are supposed to, even in something as small as that, we are supposed to do it to the glory of God, and not to worship ourselves or worship somebody else. You're not like, oh, I'm trying to get to look like this, so this is now what my diet is going to look like.
That's good.
It's okay to have goals, but you just have to be careful with it becoming an idol.
That is true. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, because I think that when you treat food as like a what do you call it, as like an avenue to get to a certain place, then it becomes like food is the enemy, food is the obstacle, you know, whereas like, okay, I have to eat this way to get to this point, you know, whereas you're not truly enjoying the food in like the way God intended us to consume. You know, you're using it as a tool to get somewhere else. You're using it as a tool to get to something that you're idolizing instead of truly enjoying the food and treating it as substance, you know, treating it as something that God has given as a gift for our bodies to survive and to thrive. You know, it's not a tool to get to some other point or for you to look like someone else or whatever, achieve whatever goal it is. Because then no matter what, food's always going to be the bad guy. Whereas if you view it as a gift and as something that literally makes your body live and breathe, then you can use that fuel and in turn worship God rather than using that fuel and then in turn worshiping something else. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a bit of a mouthful.
This is how I've been feeling this whole time.
No, you've been doing good.
I feel like nothing I'm saying is making sense.
No, it's making a lot of sense.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to connect so many dots in my mind, and I feel like
there's just a lot to talk about. Lost in the sauce. Yeah, it's easy to get lost in the sauce. Okay, so what ways has living a healthy lifestyle impacted your walk with God, a relationship with God?
One, it has made me realize the awe of God and how intricately we are made as humans and how there's a purpose in everything. The more I learn, the more I get baffled at people that think we came from nothing, just an explosion. Our bodies are so intricate and so intentionally made, and it's crazy to think that things that grow from the ground are exactly what we need to survive, and we get to enjoy those things through food, through really good tasting meals, and it's just so cool. So it's made me realize the awe of God and how good of a creator he is. Secondly, from a more practical standpoint, it's taught me discipline. And I think in your walk with the Lord, you have to have discipline, or else you're not going to have a relationship with him.
I literally just filmed an episode and I was talking exactly about this.
Really?
Yeah, so they've heard this.
Wait,
they've heard this spiel.
Was it posted?
No, I literally just filmed it before this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, without discipline, you're not going to have a fruitful relationship with the Lord. And so it's taught me discipline in the simplistic ways of getting up every day and trying to move my body, or being disciplined in the way that I eat, in the way that I nourish my body, in the way that I fuel my body. And that just translate into your walk with the Lord. If you're not practicing the spiritual disciplines, if you're not Sabbathing, if you're not resting, if you're not constantly in prayer and communing with the Lord, if you're not growing in your knowledge of the Lord through the scriptures, how can you say you even know God? You know, it's no different than me saying I know you to someone, but I've never hung out with you. I've never talked to you. I've never spent time with you. Um, and so an actual fruitful, deep relationship comes out of being disciplined in spending time with that person. And so it's just taught me discipline, which is a skill in life that everyone needs to have, needs to practice. So I think practically those two.
That's good. So then on the flip side, how, when previously, when you didn't live a healthy lifestyle, how did that negatively impact your relationship with God?
Well, I had no discipline. So you can just imagine the chaos that ensued because of that.
She's eating pizza and not spending time with God.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with you that this is the truth. I'm not even kidding. 8th grade was probably the worst year of my life. And I can pinpoint exactly. I gained
the Strong Rock cafeteria, man.
Strong Rock cafeteria. No, but seriously though, I say 8th grade just because 8th grade was what really made me realize I need to change something, and I need to change a lot of things in my life, because 8th grade I was not eating right whatsoever. I had a vegetable maybe 3 times a week in one meal. I was living off of Hot Pockets and Little Debbie's and
Zebra cake Debbie's.
Zebra cake Debbie's, and I would have a glass this. Okay.
Dang, girl, you milking your own cow.
I would have a glass this big of orange Kool-Aid every day at lunch.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say milk.
No. And I was reading scripture, praying to the Lord, having my quote unquote quiet time super inconsistently. And that was the most depressed I've ever been in my life. And I'm not just throwing that word out there, because I think that word is very loosely used nowadays. I'm being very serious. I remember having multiple conversations with my mom, just shoulder deep in, neck deep. Sure. My head was barely above the water is what I'm trying to say.
Nose deep? Yeah,
nose deep in comparison, and just super, super bad. I was in a super bad mental state. And I remember having talks with my mom, and she looked me dead in the face and said, "This is not the Sydney I used to know." And I remember hearing that and being like,
where'd she go?
Can you help me find her? That's how helpless I felt. No, because I felt a difference in myself, but for someone to look at you in the face and say that out loud and clarify that thought, it was very sobering. It was a very sobering moment of being like, okay, something needs to change. And so I remember my freshman year of high school was when COVID happened. I know that ages me, because everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's such a baby. COVID happened when she was a freshman in high school. Oh my gosh. But anyways, I remember my freshman year making a lot of changes, because we were home all the time and I had all the time in the world to cook. And so this is a long story, but that was when a bunch of health stuff was happening with me. I had a very severe gluten intolerance, but I didn't know that's what it was. So every single day after eating, I was bloated. I had super low energy. I had headaches all the time. And so that was when taking my health seriously really came into play for me and my life. And I just started cutting out a lot of things in my diet to try to figure out what it was. But all that to say, I fell in love with eating healthy. partly because I was forced to, but at the same time, I knew I needed to make a change. And so lots of discipline was taught during that time of my life. And then around that same time of my life was when I really started taking my relationship with the Lord seriously. And so I was practicing a lot of discipline within my spiritual life and my spiritual health, and taking my relationship with the Lord, putting it back at the place in my life where it needed to be, which is of utmost importance. Everything in your life is going to flow from your spiritual health. And so all of that kind of happened at the same time for me, and I know that that's different for each person, but yeah, you will definitely notice the negative effects in multiple areas of your life. It's not just going to be confined to one thing.
Yeah, and when you start taking care of your body with and your mental state, and you start to notice a change, and then you start to feel better, it almost becomes like addicting. Like addicting might be the wrong word, but like it becomes to where you don't even crave those bad foods, or you don't even crave like laziness. Or
well, the thing is you get to a point where you didn't even know you could feel this good.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
you're
not going to
wow.
want anything to go back to before.
Mm-hmm.
In Romans, it commands us to present our bodies as a living sacrifice, right? Holy and
acceptable.
Yes. Holy and acceptable
or pleasing,
to God. Yeah. Holy and acceptable, pleasing to God. So the question should not be, what can I do to my body to gain something out of it? It should be, how can I treat my body in a way that it is glorifying to God? How can I treat my body as a sacrifice to God? And I think when the correct answer to that question will naturally lead you to a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I also think that you can change your desires. Like you can change what you crave and what you desire by implementing different practices or things into your life. So like by just healthy foods, just by implementing and putting healthier foods into your diet, the more you do it, the more you're going to see the effect that it has on your life. The way that it makes you feel better and think better and sleep better, and your desires will begin to change because you are desiring something better for yourself. You're desiring because you've seen what an effect it has on your body, that your desires will begin to follow that, if that makes sense. Okay, lastly, do you have like any resources for people to educate themselves better on health and wellness, since it is such like a broad overarching thing? Like, do you have any specific references for people?
Specific references? There is one book that I think everyone in their life should read. It's called Deep Nutrition. It's written by a physician, by a doctor. And it's actually a very interesting viewpoint because it is written from a doctor that is very accredited, but the entire book is about nutrition and goes against healthcare, like the pharmaceutical industry. It goes against just using medicine as a band-aid for everything and actually getting down to the root cause, which is nutrition. And I will say it is a long book and it's very descriptive, so I would take it in chunks, but it's not a book that you have to read like start to finish. Just go to the table of index. It's broken up very well, and so if you have a specific question on something, you can just flip to that chapter and read about it. But I have learned a lot from that book, and I would recommend it to anybody. Other than that, I would really just take time and research specific things if you have questions, because there's so much noise out there, and I feel like people are always contradicting each other when it comes to health and wellness. like, I saw something the other day that said eggs are bad. And I'm like, well, I'm screwed because I eat them every day. And it's just like,
It's constantly changing.
yes, it is
like,
constantly changing. So if you have questions about something specific, do research. And I don't mean Ask Chat. Guys, I don't just mean Ask Chat. I mean genuinely find studies
Yeah.
from accredited people, accredited groups, and truly just read about it because you will learn so much. And don't always take what people have to say as truth because that's not usually the case. And then for women, this is for fun. I think every woman should be informed about cycle syncing and eating foods for the different 4 phases of your cycle because you would be amazed at how much nutrition changes based on our needs throughout the 4 weeks of the month. And that
I'll put a link in the description of like if you want to go look at cycle syncing and get into that.
I can't speak for men, but for women, I do think that every woman should at least know basics of what is happening within our body within the 4 weeks of the month because your hormones are constantly changing and that affects your appetite and that affects
so much going on.
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's crazy. So not only what to eat during those times, but I think every woman should be informed of what's happening in their body during those times, such as the hormone fluctuations and just there's so many things. But yeah, so you can link that. That's just the food thing, right? It's just food that you need to eat, or have you listed out what's actually happening?
Oh no, I'm not talking about. I made a Google Doc, which maybe I'll put that in there too. I was just saying I was gonna find a link as like to what cycle syncing
that'd be good.
is
That'd
and
be
just like
good.
different things like that. But
Yes,
I can link the Google Doc too. I actually made like a Google Doc of like, I think I did put like what's happening in your body during that time of the month, and then I put like what your body needs, and then a list of foods that your body needs to absorb certain nutrients.
Yes.
So anyway,
and on that same tangent, that also goes back to comparison. Please, especially as a woman, do not compare yourself and your diet to a man's. It is completely different.
Yeah.
What they need is completely different than what you need, and their body is going to thrive off of a whole different diet and workout structure and whatever. So you don't have to eat ground beef and potatoes and lift 5 days a week if you want a certain physique. I promise, because it's not. Our bodies are just not made like that.
But also, like, I would encourage you guys not to eat healthy or work out for a certain physique.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Like, yes, I mean, it's good to have goals. If you want to have goals, like, that's good as far as, like, what you want to look like. But having that be the thing that you idolize and that you worship and that the only thing you're working towards, it's just going to be, you're going to have a very unhealthy relationship with living a healthy lifestyle. Because it's going to be, especially with women, it's going to be very ebb and flow sometimes because of everything that's going on in our body. And so don't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this simply for a physique. Make sure your priorities are, I'm doing this to fuel my body. I'm doing this to feel good and to heal my body as well. So just as a little encouragement. But do you have any last parting words?
I don't think so. I think I've exhausted all of my words for the day.
Okay.
Other than just, again, your body should be a sacrifice to the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you should carry with anything you do with your body. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on again. I just realized you're actually not the first returning guest.
Who was it?
Kay is.
What did she do?
Why are you getting upset?
I'm not upset. I'm just asking
like,
a question.
What did she do? I think she did 2 gospel, like how to share the gospel ones. But I was just remembering that. And I was like, I don't think you're the first one. But I think you're the second one.
Slay. I'll be back.
She'll be back. You might be the first
You can't
third
get
time
rid of me.
guest.
I'll be back next January, guys.
Trust. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
And I will see you guys next week. Peace and love.
Bye.